and I would say that rural has aged better than I have. Maybe in terms of my reflection, but anyhow, that's life. So again, thanks to really appreciate to ICBF for giving me this platform here this morning and looking back on the EBI, and I think we have put a good analysis together on the EBI looking back, and I acknowledge a lot of people put a lot of effort into my paper. So first of all, Siobhan Ring. Siobhan did a number of iterations of the analysis. I think we have really good analysis done now. I mean, she's run it 3 or 4 times a week, and we were really good analysis. So Long Chalou ran the economics part of it, Don O'Brien the environmental part of it, Stephen Butler helped us on the defining the fertility traits, and of course Donna and Andrew Dillon guided us through the development of the paper. So my talk is divided into a number of sections. First of all, we'll look at the trends in EBI for 2007 to 2017. And then I want to just look at trends in dairy cow big production. Looking at EBI is one aspect, to look at the phenotypic data in terms of the cow milk production, fertility, calving, beef, maintenance, management traits, and performance over those periods. And as you see, as I develop the talk, is what's in the genetics and what farmers see at ground level are very much correlated, and that's the real payback to farmers in the industry. Then we want to look at the relationship between increased EBI and greenhouse gas emissions. Environment now is one of the big things, and what does it tell us in terms of greenhouse gas emissions? What the type of cow we're producing today, how efficient is she in terms of greenhouse gas emissions versus the cow we started with. They look at the relationship there between EBI and farm profitability, and we see as farmers, and what could we estimate is how an increase in profitability. And then the EBI of what it makes, which I haven't put that much thought in because I think there's people better in the audience for me than me for that area. So for the data then is, and it really, when I started the analysis, I put this data together, and I remember back to 2000, and Brian was here in front, and put the good data together to do any analysis was very, very difficult. And we have this database there now, and we can get a large amount of data and do a really good analysis what the industry is. It's an unbelievable resource to have now. And I mean, people talk about data and going forward in terms of data, but we shouldn't underestimate where we have moved since 2000 in terms of data. So, for the analysis we did, that Siobhan put edits into it, greater than 90% cows we just had with spring calving herds, 90% calves in January to June, and that data we included analysis of the milk recorded herds because for the milk purposes, and then we included all herds then for the genetic trends in that. So it was a big database. So there was 4 million cows, 4.7 million cows included, cow lactations included in the milk recorded herds, over nearly 2 million cows, so 8,000 herds. The non-milk recorded with 4.8, nearly 5 million cows, cow lactations, nearly 2 million cows and 40. So we had a massive database. I mean, if we wanted to get an accurate trends, I mean, we have the data to do it. If greater than 80% of the cows in every year were dairy bred, then all records from that year. So that's all the edits in the database part of it, and the greenhouse gas and the EBI, or the economics part of it. What we did is we compared the average of 2001 to 2003 versus 2016. So we said we include 3 years rather than just picking 1 year. We would say to be a stronger analysis by comparing 3-year average for the purpose of the analysis. So that's what we did. So, I mean, this is the EBI, and as I said, where we moved. And the other thing is, and a lot of younger people here probably today don't recognise, and some of the people do, and I'm not saying everyone don't, but where we were in 2000. And I had Ross Evans in front of me, Frank Buckley is here, and the analysis we did in terms of where the industry was going at the time. And Ross's one was on 14 spring calving health, which we had very good data for from 1990 to 2001, 2002. And we were on free fall. Calving rate the first hours was reducing 1% per year. We were down to about 44% calving rate the first hours. And I remember Ross and Donny Garrick forecasted even further. If we continued on the way we were striking for the mid-30s. That's where we were going. And the other thing on it, and it was the RBI index at the time, this was the milk production index, and it showed clearly is that as we expected for RBI, we were reducing profitability at farm level. Bottom line, we were reducing profitability where we were going. So it was a really serious scenario. So this is, again, as I said, the development of the index, and you can see there was lots of changes over the year, and all good changes, and they're all based on good science and based on a better database. And we ended up somewhere around 30% weighting on milk production, something higher on fertility and calving, then about 9% on beef and feed efficiency and calving, and then about 7% on maintenance, and then a lesser percentage on 4% on management and 3% on health rates. And those are also important in terms of what we show from as we move through the index. So this has been the change in EBI, and it's done by cows a year and calves a year, right? So it was the cow population each time as you move through. So we went from -10 EBI back in 2000, and we're up to almost 100 EBI today in terms of 2017 data. So we have moved about 120 EBI units. And you can see that every year so slower. That's for the index to a period to get involved, but you can see that especially since genomics came in, and from 2009 we see that the rate of change has ramped up. And we're somewhere around €8 per cow per year. Right, and that is the EBI trend. And if you look at the, and this is a complicated slide, and I'll get into more detail in a second, but it shows you the trends on the different trades. And if you look at milk production as a big trade, down at the bottom, you see it is negative and strongly negative at the start. And you can see it trends up, and you see it has become strongly positive by the year. So it went from minus about 40 EBI, and it's gone up to plus, I think it's about 20 in that period. You can see other indexes. You can see the fertility and calving again has increased and gone positive. Calving, you see beef merit health in that. So as I said, it's a complicated slide. So just to go through that, then I thought it was important that we just look at each trait itself in terms of the EBI, how it has changed. And as I said, we moved from -12 to plus 98. And if you look at the slope shows you roughly the trend, and the trend that I've taken is from 2006, which is fair. It's about 8 EBI units per year. Right, where's milk gone? Minus €35 at the start to plus €25 at the end. So you can see again. And of the EBI change of the €7.8 per year, €3.4 of that is on the milk production part of the index. So about 45% of the change over the years, even though the weightings was only 30%, what it eventually ended up is that about 45% of the increase is on the milk production side of the index rate. Now there was a debate at the time, and we won't go back to the debate, and the view was that this index was going to take the milk out of our Irish cows, and we won't go back to that debate. But you can see that a large part. If you look at the fertility then, even though the weighting was the same, we've gone from 24, and then again there was a reduction afterwards, and that's expected because of the cow population at the time. So we've gone from about 16 at the minimum up to 43 euros. Or increase about slightly over €2 per year increase in fertility. Even though the weighting of fertility was slightly higher than the milk because genetics, the genetic people will tell you that you have more measurements, you have higher heritability traits, and the justification again of having the fertility equal to the thing purposely put in the index for the purpose of that. We knew that wouldn't. And calving, you can see in terms of calving is. And it's important when we talk through all this and from a farmer's point of view, and that's what's really nice is calving traits, you can see went from plus 4.7 to 26.4. So we're talking about, and calving was maternal and direct or indirect calving. So we'll talk about the calf much easier. And the beef merit, fair enough, and we can debate that. There's a slight reduction in the beef merit of the herd, even though there was a 9% weighting on it for beef merit. If you look at for health, and health is a big issue on that, and it's really positive, given that there was only 3% weighting on the health. We went from minus €7, almost minus €8, up to plus 1.2 euros for the year. And we'd see that in our herds. I mean, I debate with Donna because I'm more at the farm level, Donna's more at the genetic level, and I would say, yes, the type of cow we have now, I firmly believe, from a more point of view managing ours, with less lameness and with cows with a low cell count in our house. Maintenance didn't move at all, but it was important there, and as Donna always said, it was important there to maintain body size, even though it didn't change, but it was important as part of the index to hold your body size the same. And management trait. And this is about milking speed and about temperament. And again, a very important management trait in terms of minus €3 up to plus 1.3. So the type of cow we're milking, milks faster, and it's better temperament. And that's from a farmer's point of view, again, all very important. And the index went in terms of traits. It was all from the very positive, from an industry point of view. So that's the trends in EBI and the sub-index in EBI in the index. Now, what we like to go on is right. You have the trends in genetics then, and you have the trends in the actual phenotypic. And to look within each of those traits, I think it's nice to look at them. So these are the trends then in the PTAs. If you want to breeding value, it must be about 2, and there's the trends in milk, kilos of fat, and kilos of protein. So you look at milk. The type of cow we had in 2000 was minus base on our present base. I think it's 2005 base. I think. There would be a negative of 134 kilos of milk, and today they're plus 22 kilos of milk. So you can see that that's over 150 kilos. Even in volume terms, I would have it higher producing cow, and we're increasing about 7 kilos per year. Of course, the more important it is from a farmer's point of view, is increasing kilos of fat and protein. And you can see we went from minus 5 kilos of fat, and today we're plus 4.5 kilos of fat. So over 11 kilos genetically in fat, multiplied by 22 kilos. That should be the breeding value. That's from a farmer's point of view. And in protein, minus 6 kilos up to plus 3.1 kilos. So I mean, again, really significant changes in kilos of fat and protein, as well as changes in terms of the milk production itself. So big question there, your genetics, where did our phenotypic things? This is the milk recorded herds again, as I showed you up those 1.7 or 1.8 million dairy cows in milk recorded. So this is the trends in milk production. Say 5,800 kilos back in 2000. And these are corrected for 3 or 5 day milk years. So that the issue of quota years and all that is taken out of it. They're all brought up to 3 or 5 day milk years to be a standard way of doing it. So we've increased by about 5 kilos per year. If we put a trend through it, but we have gone from 5,800 to 6,379 kilos a week. And if you look at it in terms of fat yield and protein yield, it's really impressive. 219 kilos of fat to 264 kilos. In protein, 98 kilos per cow up to 229. So we're increasing fat yield per cow per year at the moment. And if you look at the genetics, they're really linked up. I mean, if you look at the 0.6 and 0.5 is 11, is 1.1 multiplied by 2 is 2.2, and you look at actually the phenotypic is slightly more to them. So again, the genetics totally aligned with the People ask me then, all right, these are milk recorded herds, what they've increased by about 75 kilos of milk solids over that period. What has happened nationally in the herd, if you just divide the number of cows into the production, total national production, and if you go back, I went back to 2000, if you divide the number of cows into the amount of milk we're producing, in kilos of fat and protein, the average production was about 300, came exactly around 300 kilos of milk solids per cow we were producing in 2000. Last year, if you divided it, you got 396. 396, almost 100 kilos of milk solids per cow higher. Now, fair enough, you have quota years and everything, but that's what happened nationally. This is based on milk record, they're all adding up in terms of performance. So that's the milk side. The other issue, I mean, of course, was the real fertility issue, and this is Siobhan put a lot of time into getting this right in terms of, and Stephen Butler, in terms of defining the traits and everything. So, and this was the big issue at the time, the fertility of our cows was reducing. So these are the genetic trends in calving, but these are the genetic trends. We went from minus 1.86, you see, I mean, actually we got less, a negative in calving interval is what we want, shorter calving interval. We were minus 1.86 days, and we're minus 2.32. But you can see in between we came back to about minus 1 day because population was changing in material of the index coming through. And you look at the survival, we're plus 0.1, and we're 1.17% survival increase. So the big interest then is how did that translate out to national population in terms of phenotypically. This is really positive, I think. Submission rate, if you look at it, our low submission rate nationally, now this nationally was 2006, 65% of cows submitted in the first 3 weeks of the breeding season. If you look at 2017, 79% of cows submitted in the first 3 weeks of the breeding season. If you look at pregnancy rate, the first hours, if you go back to Ross's thing, and if you go to Frank's in terms of when we did the farm fertility study, we were at 48, and you see we came down from 46, and we're up to 54 now. And we're increasing by 0.6%. These are percentages, and we're increasing by 0.6% per year in terms of pregnancy rate at the moment. And submission rate we're increasing by 0.8%. 0.8%. Pregnancy rate after 42 days, after 6 weeks of breeding, you can see we came down to about 52%. Our latest figure of 2017 is 67%. Again, a massive improvement. And we're increasing 1% per year as it stands at the moment. And if you look at the opposite in the calving rates, and you know, calving rate, I mean, we can come back to the targets where we want to be later on, but in terms of calving rate, then we have increased, say, from the low 59% in 6 week calving rate, say, on 2003, 74% the last one. So we're increasing in calving rate by 1% per year. They will include the first lactation animals in the system. Now, Brian is here in front of me. Brian, if we could go into the industry, we want to do this index, they'll have paid us any amount of money for it. But the reality is there. It's there in motion, and it's there to be capitalised going forward, and our targets in that we can talk about them later on in terms of where we want to be. But we're on the road. I mean, I travel internationally, there is no data set in the world that will show this. None. And we should be very proud of it, you know. Okay, so we look at the rest of the trends, the head traits in. Somatic cell count, a negative in terms of the weighting genetically negative, mastitis. You want a positive.